How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Jolly Geek. Welcome back to the channel for a brand new show called This Is My. And in this show, I'm going to bring on a guest and we're going to talk a little bit about their collection, their collecting habits, and some of their favorite things. And the collection can be anything. It doesn't have to be comic books. It can be toys. It can be literally whatever they want to show and whatever they're passionate about. So tonight, my first guest is Efrain. How are you doing, Efrain?
Hey, Peter. I'm doing fine. Thank you so much. I'm your very first guest. I'm number one. Nobody can ever take that away from me.
Number one, mate. Number one. Who else would I have brought on? I mean, me and you, Efrain, have worked together now for, is it about a year and a half, 2 years, maybe?
It's been over 2 years now, I think.
Yeah, been a long time.
Yeah.
So obviously when I was setting up or came up with the idea of the show, there's a group of people that I desperately want to get on, the kind of people that I hang around with on YouTube, Ben and James, all those kind of people. But you were top of the list because I know that if I'm going to do a show about collections and collectibles, there's one man who's going to blow the socks off with some pretty impressive books and things. So really excited to get into this effort and see some of the stuff that you've brought tonight. First of all, just thank you to everybody that's joining on our chat. We've got, as usual, StreamYard. Thank you for joining StreamYard. We've got good old Fuzzy. Thank you very much for joining, Fuzzy. We've got Ben, the attention-seeking geek. Thank you, Ben. We're going to touch on it later on, but please do make sure you go over to Ben's channel later on tomorrow at 8 o'clock to watch It's Not That Bad. It's going to be a good one. And we've got good old Ian Carter. Thank you very much for joining, Ian. And Ian is speaking Buenos noches, Efrain. Is that
buenas noches, Ian. ¿Cómo estás?
Yeah? Lost us. But yeah, good. Okay, Efrain. So like I say, this show basically is just a kind of a getting to know you a little bit and finding out a little bit more about you and seeing some of your collectibles. So the way we're going to do it is basically set out, you show us something, then I'll ask you a question, show us something, I'll ask a question, all right? Okay. I want to start off with this. This is my backstory. So I just want you to tell me a little bit about yourself, what got you into collecting, and then also what got you into YouTube, because you are a YouTuber as well. So we'll start off with that, mate.
So as far as comics is concerned, I started collecting comic books when I was about 10 years old, back in like 1970. That's when comic books first caught my attention. I grew up in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and right around the corner from my house was, we called it a liquor store, but they also had a rack of comic books. And I wouldn't buy liquor, obviously. I would buy candy. They had candy there, but they had a rack of comic books, and that's what first grabbed my attention.
So in America, you had like those traditional looking comic book stands, the spinner racks, didn't you?
Yes. Yep, yeah. That's what it was. They had about 2 spinner racks, and I said, what's this? And, I've been hooked ever since.
Do you remember what the first books were you picked up, or what kind of books you picked up?
I know it was a Marvel book. I wish I could remember what book it was. I would say it would probably be Fantastic Four or Spider-Man.
Yeah. And if you were picking up books back in the 70s, Efrain, there's a good chance you had some of those heavy hitter books that are worth a lot of money now. Did you keep a hold of many of those, or did you sell them or lose them on as the years went by?
I've kept like more than 90% of my comic books.
Wow.
I just recently started selling some of my books because hopefully I'll save that money to get the rest of my grails, but 5 years ago, I said, I'm never getting rid of any of my books. They just mean too much to me, and they still do, but I just reached a point where I said, you know what, I'm gonna start selling some.
But so did you have you got books in your collection that are from like your original pickups back in the 70s, Efrain?
Oh yeah.
Really? Because normally, well, certainly from my point of view, and a lot of the collectors I know, they go through that collecting phase when they're younger, and then they have a bit of a break and they sell the books or whatever, or the books get lost and stuck in the loft somewhere. But you've managed to retain yours for a while, some of them.
I stopped collecting for about 2 years when I was married. But even when I went back into collecting the books after like a 2-year break, I went back 2 years to pick up the books that I missed. Basically,
right, got you. Yeah.
But yeah, I just never sold them. I just kept them.
Okay, good stuff. So you must have a hell of a collection then, Efrain. I mean, just in a ballpark, how many comics do you think you've got, or long boxes, short boxes, do you think you've got?
I have over 80 boxes of comic books, long and short. And I don't know if you've seen some of my videos where I have furniture.
Yeah.
I put my books into that too. So
Yeah.
I have, if you put them all into all long boxes, I would have over 100 easily.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
short and long, combination of both.
And how the hell do you keep track of all of them?
I use a program called Zap Kapow, where I just put in a book. I put in the book. I try to put I don't put the grade in because I have no idea what the grade is, but I put the book in, and then there's a place where you can write stuff into this program. I say, say Fantastic Four number 25. It's in box number 2, 3, 4, etc. So if I ever want to see it, I know what box it's in.
That's better.
Been a while, yeah.
Plan. And Ian's just saying in the chat that he got his first introduction to comics was an American PX in Germany. Wow.
Oh.
And Fuzzy's saying, I wish I had the foresight to keep stuff. Yeah, Fuzzy, it's interesting. I mean, one of the reasons I asked Efrain that is my dad was a comic book collector when he was a kid, and he would have had, X-Men 1, Fantastic Four 1, things like that. And he tells us that he remembers clearly chucking them all away when he moved out. So boxes and boxes of comics in the bin. So it breaks your heart to think about it.
Yeah.
Efrain, so you've been a collector for a long time. You've collected comic books for years and years and years. What on earth made you go into YouTube? Why did you suddenly decide you thought you would do a YouTube channel?
I always tell everybody, you want to have a laugh, look at my very first YouTube videos, which was like over 6 years ago. I was so confused and befuddled. It would take me forever to download a video. I used my iPhone, which I still do sometimes, but I didn't have a microphone. I didn't have any lighting. I didn't want to show my face because I was too self-conscious. I was
really?
It looks bad, these videos. I kept them up there just to remind me. It's been over 2 years now. I was telling my cousin, I was visiting him. I just said, you know what? I just really going to give this YouTube a chance, really try to do videos. Comic books, I always say, have been a passion of my life, and it's in my DNA. Like about 2 years ago, I decided if you're going to do it as best as you can, not half-ass like I was doing it before. Yeah. And that got the ball rolling. I put myself in front of the camera, even though it was difficult at the beginning. I still felt self-conscious. Even now, sometimes I feel self-conscious doing it. And it just started from there. I just started opening myself out more. In real life, I'm a very quiet person.
Yeah.
People saying, why are you so quiet? Why are you so serious looking? I just thought, this is my face. What do you want me to do?
I mean, that's really interesting, Efrain, because you're saying there that you're quiet and a bit self-conscious at times. You stood in front of a crowd at San Diego ComicCon and had a panel, didn't you? I mean, that's pretty impressive in itself.
I put myself out there because I said, come on, man, just do it. I've always wanted to do a panel. Last year, I got on a panel at the last minute, basically, like weeks with, because you have to send in the application in advance, and I didn't know how to do it. I just met somebody by accident who worked at ComicCon, and I said, hey, I was trying to get on, and he goes, send me your email. If somebody cancels, we'll get you on. I got on quick, and then I got 3 of my friends to do it with me. And of course, I thought of you.
Yeah.
And everybody else, and you guys over there. I go, if I'm going to do this the first time, I want you guys to do it with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was nerve-wracking, to tell you the truth. I felt just like when I first started doing YouTube channels, and my heart was racing. I was all nervous and stuff like that.
Yeah. And one of the things that you do, Efrain, on your channel quite often, which I absolutely love, is you get your daughter to do a few videos with you now and then when she's popping by. I mean, that's fantastic, because she's a bit of is she a collector, or does she just like supporting you?
She's not a collector. She knows I collect comic books, and she's mostly into the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I mean, she used to collect Archies when she was a kid. Yeah. But now she doesn't know that much about comic books as much as I do. But yeah, I love having her on there with me. Yeah,
it's always great fun to watch.
Yeah.
Fuzzy's just in relation to your collection here, referencing you're the reason for the comic ban shortage. Okay, Efrain. Right. Well, thank you very much for that. Let's move on to having a look at some of the stuff that you've got. Now, before we go to the physical comics you've got there, you've sent me an image to show. So I'm just going to bring that up. So tell me a little bit about this.
This was the very first ComicCon that I ever went to. This was in 1993. That's my cousin. Obviously, his name is Momo Comics 80. He was like about 13 years old. And I told him, hey, why don't you come down? We'll go to ComicCon together. The first ComicCon I ever went to, we didn't have to buy our badges in advance. We just walked in and we just bought our badges there. You know, he's married now, and he's got 3 kids of his own, and he still comes every year to ComicCon, you know, to hang out with me.
So
yeah,
you
this
still
is
do the Comic Cons together? That's fantastic. I love that. And what books have you got there? You've got the Platinum Spider-Man #1.
Yeah, and that's the very first Jim Lee Wildcats.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. And in the back there, I can spot some. I had those, the X-Men hologram set, I think.
Yeah, that was a Jim Lee X-Men hologram set, you know, back in 1993. I can't believe it was such a long time ago. It was just him and me, you know, but now all my family wants to come every year to Comic-Con.
Wow. And you do a lot of cons, Efrain, because you're forever telling me, oh, I'm just popping to this con, I'm going to that con. So you must do a fair few cons.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do at least 4 to 5 a year. I just came back from Las Vegas Con. I went on your channel live. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to Ontario, California, which is in the LA area for another comic book convention. And there's also WonderCon in Anaheim. And I've been to Emerald Con in Seattle.
Yeah.
I want to hit New York Comic Con one of these years, and hopefully Baltimore Comic Con. Those were pretty good cons too.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And if you didn't spot that on our Saturday Night Live show a couple of weeks ago, Efrain literally went and shouted at Kevin Eastman. Shouted, told him that he was live in the UK. Yeah. So that was a very special moment. I love that, Efrain. So that's a great picture. And I love that nostalgia that you've got those memories. And I love the fact that you're doing it with a member of your family. You know, you've got that relationship there with your nephew that you're going to the cons. That's
my cousin.
Your cousin, sorry, your cousin. Yeah.
No worries.
That's really quite beautiful. I love it. Okay, Efrain. First question from me. Who is your favorite hero and why?
I think we've talked about him. I know we've talked about him on a regular basis, but to me, it's a street level hero. It's Matt Murdock, Daredevil.
Right.
You know, it's just something about him and his faith and his inner strength that always grabs me. You know, just he's a blind man who basically has no really superpowers. You know, just his enhanced hearing and senses and stuff like that. It just and all the anguish that he's gone throughout the years, especially the King in Black series. When he was he was the only person who fought off the King in Black, and it was just his faith that held him strong. You know, I just love that character. Even if a storyline is bad, to me, it's a good storyline by him. You know, and right now he's fighting against the Punisher in the Punisher book. Which we just did a review on GP Venom, channel. Oh man, it's just a good storyline. I just love that character.
So Efrain, we were talking on Saturday night on the show. Marvel's next event is called Fallen Friend, and they've put an image out of a black background and Fallen Friend, but in red. Now I'm thinking that if the way the DD books are going at the moment, I'm wondering if that's going to apply to Daredevil. I wonder if Daredevil's going to be the person that they kill off once again. How would you feel about that?
You're the first one to tell me about that. I hope not. I mean, but if they kill off a character, they'll bring him back.
Oh yeah. I mean, he'll get better. Do you know what I mean? He'll die, but you'll walk it off, won't he? I'm sure. But I'm suspecting that might be him. So if DD's your favorite character, and I don't want to jump the gun on some of the stuff you're going to show with, would you have many of his big key appearances?
I have one here.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
It's this. I think you know which one it is already. So, but I haven't here.
Okay, mate. Well, let's move on to that. Let's see your first item. So, what have you brought to show with?
So, my first item is I'm the actual owner of this book. I bought it when I was a kid. I always say, "Dang it!" When I was going to comic book stores, all I did was grab one.
Yeah.
If I didn't have I wish I would have had the forethought. And this comic book only cost 50 cents when it came out.
Yeah.
And it was just a stack of them. And I say, but I just grabbed one. I go, why didn't I grab about just a handful of them and take them with me? But I was a kid, I just wanted to read them. And I didn't know anything about these characters. Well, I knew about them, but I didn't know they were going to be as popular.
Back then, you were collecting for the right reasons, weren't you? You weren't picking that book up to make money. You were picking that book up because you wanted to read the story, I would imagine.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this one is signed by Chris Claremont and Stan Lee in May of 2014. It's Giant Size X-Men.
Just signed by Stan and Chris, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fabulous. And what's that, a 5.0?
It was a 5.0. I had it cleaned and pressed. I'm the original owner of this book. I've had other ones that I've sold out. I've sold, I already sold them, but this is the one that I kept, and this is the one that was mine when it first came out.
Yeah, that is a what they would say a banger of a book, Efrain. Absolutely stunning. Just out of interest, we were talking about signatures on books the other day, and about how Chris Claremont. There's been a few conventions some of the people on the panel had been to who said that he wasn't exactly kind of stowed off. People weren't rushing to get his signature, which I find very bizarre, because that X-Men book you've just shown, some might argue, is probably more influential in terms of the X-Men lore than X-Men #1. Do you know what I mean? It's got some big hitter characters in there. It surprises us that Chris Claremont doesn't necessarily get as much recognition.
Yeah, I was at a convention a couple years ago, and he was at a booth, and nobody was around him. Nobody was waiting to get their signatures from him. Nothing. Yeah. And I just talked to him for a couple minutes. At this convention that I'm going to in Ontario in a couple of weeks, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if nobody's around him, I'm going to see if I can do a quick interview with him.
Oh, that would be tremendous. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So that book was also signed by Stan the Man there. How many Stan Lee signatures books have you got, do you think?
Probably over 20.
Wow.
I haven't counted them, but I was after his signature like about 10 years ago, especially at San Diego ComicCon. I would just bring a stack of books for him to sign.
Yeah.
I was after his signature for a while, but his pricing, was starting to go up and up every time. It was $100 per signature. Then it started going up. After it went over 100, I just stopped trying to get his signature. Now I got enough.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of money there, I'd hate to think how much that book you've just shown's worth, because the X-Men book at a 5.0 is already a decent price book, but those two signatures on it will not have bumped it up, I would imagine. So a pricey little book you've got your hands on there. Very nice. I like that one.
Thanks.
What else have you got? Show another one from before.
Okay, so we just talked about this character, my favorite character. This one is signed by Stan Lee. I bought this a little while ago. Here it is.
Oh, nice.
The glare is kind of bad right there.
Yeah. And he signed over the Daredevil. Is that his signature on Daredevil there? Yeah. On the Daredevil text, I mean. That's a 5.0 as well.
Yeah.
Again, another stunning book, Efrain. So with that being your favorite character, that must hold a special place in your collection, I would have thought.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always wanted this book, and I just bought this about a year ago. Honestly, I don't remember how much I paid for it. I think I got it on eBay. I don't quite remember. But yeah, this book came up for sale, and it had Stan Lee's signature, and I said, I'm going to get it. It's just my favorite character. I just like the way his whole persona, his whole life has gone through, the ups and downs. So yeah, I had to get this book. I added to my collection.
Stunning. And that looks it's a really nice copy of that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a 5.0. It's a beaut. Stunning, Efrain. Okay, Efrain, another question for you then, mate. Oh, let's get you off the big screen. I'm still learning all these buttons, I haven't got James to talk us through it. Claim to fame. Most of us have got kind of a story of how we've met somebody important or someone famous or something like that. What's your claim to fame, Efrain?
I kind of met this one person when I was a kid. I think I've told you this story before. I was in San Francisco. I used to go to small conventions in hotels, and I was about 15 years old, I would say, and I was just standing outside the hotel, and on my right there was this gentleman there about 10, 15 feet away. I was just looking at him awestruck, and he was smoking a cigar. I didn't have the nerve to go up to say hi to him. I wish I would have. I wish there were cell phones back then. It was Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
But I was just, my mouth was open. I was a geeky teenager. I was just staring at him for about a couple minutes, and he was talking to somebody else, and I just didn't have the nerve to go up and say hi to him. Yeah. I wish I would have now, obviously, because I heard he was such a nice person. Yeah. He was all friendly to children. He was just, just a joy to be around. But I just stared at him.
The stories are that he was a genuinely nice guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have met Jack. Have you got anything signed by Jack?
No, I've tried to get some stuff on eBay, but I've just never bought anything from him, you know. But I was just staring at him. I was like, oh my God, that's Jack King Kirby. My legs were like cemented down. I couldn't even move, you know. I just wish I would have and just said hi to him. You know, I was say thank you for everything, you know, but I just didn't. I just stared at him and walked away like a walk of shit. I said, nah. You know, I stared at him for a while and I just walked away.
Incredible. Now, well, yeah, you missed your chance, sadly, with Jack there.
Yeah.
But you've certainly met this gentleman on a few occasions, haven't you?
Yes, this was also back in 1993, my very first ComicCon. We were walking opposite each other, and I seen him. And by then, it was like my YouTube persona came out. He was just walking, and I go, "Hey, you're Stan Lee." And he stopped, you know, shocked, looking at me. And I just shook his hand, and I said, you know, I just want to say hi. You know, thanks for everything, which I should have done with Jack Kirby. And you know, this, like I said, this was like over 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
You know, that we took this picture, and I just said, and my cousin took this picture. And there's a funny story behind this, because that same convention, he took a picture with Jim Lee, and I took the picture, and I always give him crap about it because he lost the picture.
Oh no.
Yeah, 30 years ago, he took a picture with Jim Lee as a kid. I go, where's the picture? Where's the picture? He goes, I don't know. But I had Stanley sign this about, you know, obviously maybe about 6-7 years ago too. And it cost me $100 to get this signature.
Really?
Yes. Really? Anything he signed was $100. I go, you know, I just showed him this picture, and he goes, wow, and look at this picture. You know, he couldn't believe it. And
£100, please.
Yeah, he was, you know, he signed it, and it cost me $100.
Wow.
You know?
So how many times have you actually met Stan Lee? And by meet, I mean, you know, you've seen him in the getting things signed and stuff.
Well, this was obviously the first time, and I'd say at least 4 to 5 times I've seen him, you know.
One of my big regrets, that Efrain, I would have loved to have just been in his presence. Do you know what I mean? Just to say hello and say how much he meant to me and to others, I guess. But yeah. That's an astonishing bit of memorabilia you've got there. That I love that. It's superb. Jack's asking in the comments there, what would you go for if you had a chance of getting a book with his signature? You know, I think if you're referring to Jack Kirby. Jack, I would take anything. Marvel. I'm not a big fan of some of his DC stuff, but I would go for anything Marvel. Probably is a Fantastic Four, because I think the work he did on Fantastic Four was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, probably Fantastic Four. Yep.
Yeah. Another regret. I'd love to get a Jack signature. Okay, show us something else, Efrain. What else have you got to show?
Okay, this one I showed to you guys when I first got it, and you guys couldn't believe that I got this book. I bought this about 2 years ago now. I got this on I bought some books on eBay from this person, and I found out he lived close in Southern California. So we exchanged, you know, emails. I forgot how we started talking outside of Instagram. I mean, outside of eBay. Yeah. He says, hey, I got some books if you're interested in. And I told him, what books do you have? When he told me this book, I went, damn it. You know, I go, Jesus, how much? And he told me, I went, oh, man. So we started negotiating a little bit back and forth. Yeah. And when I bought the book, I told him, hey, I'm bringing you cash. You don't have to pay any tax on this book at all, So it did lower the price. And I didn't think I'd ever have this book, but I did get it.
Okay. So that's an amazing fantasy 15 first ever appearance of the Spider-Man. And that's a CGC 3.5, Efrain. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that it's like holding a few gold bars in your hand there, surely. The price on that is astronomical. But taking the price aside, in terms of comic book kind of history and grails and things like that, doesn't get much bigger than that, does it?
No. Even the amount of money I paid, I was like, damn it, this is a lot of money. You know,
how long ago was that?
It was about 3 years ago now, 2 to 3 years ago. And it was still a lot of money, but we negotiated, and he wanted higher, but I told him, I'm bringing you cash. You don't have to pay any tax on this money. It's yours.
Yeah.
You know, so he said, okay. So I bought it, and he said he cleaned and pressed it. And I learned from my mistakes. I cleaned and pressed a book that I had graded before, and the grade came back lower. I will never do that again. You know, not for a book like this. I wouldn't take that chance. You know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a few people in the comments there just reacting to your comics there. Yeah, it doesn't get any bigger than. I mean, I can't think in terms of Marvel books what tops an AF-15. Marvel Comics #1, maybe. Don't know how many of them are.
Yeah, Marvel Comics #1, I think.
You're not going to show one of them, off your own.
No.
No. Yeah. So that's an AF-15. That is phenomenal, Efrain. Absolutely phenomenal. Superb. Okay, mate. Another question for you. So we'll just quickly jump back down here. Favorite movies, Efrain. Now, you know I'm a bit of a film fan. I love a nice movie. I know you're not a horror fan as such. And we've talked about that before. But tell us, what is your favorite movie? What movie is your go-to sit down and enjoy movie?
Okay, there's this one movie, and it has nothing to do with superheroes, Marvel, DC, no sci-fi or nothing like that. It's an older movie. It's called The Great Escape.
Oh yeah,
Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
I believe not Paul Newman wasn't in it. Charles Bronson was in it.
Yeah.
Donald Pleasance was in it. It's just a great story. It's based on actual facts about World War II prisoners that escaped Germany, prison camp. And it's just the music. It just always gets me, hyped up. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's interesting. So I don't know what it's like over in the States, Efrain, but in the UK, certainly back before we had Sky and all that kind of stuff, we had kind of your 4 main channels.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of got repetition particularly at Christmas time when they were you were pretty guaranteed a certain number of the same movies. And The Great Escape was one of those. I remember watching that year in year when I was younger. Haven't seen it for a long time, mind. I haven't gone back and watched it for a long time. But yeah, fantastic movie. Some incredible performances. Yeah. If I was to push you, Efrain, on your favorite superhero movie, because there's a lot of debate at the moment. I think the recent Guardians film is very up there for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if it's moving my top 3. But have you got a favorite kind of superhero-based movie?
If it was a superhero movie, I must say this one, I watched it when I was younger, obviously, and it just took my breath away. It was the very first Superman movie with Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. I was like, wow, this is what a comic book movie should be about. It was uplifting. It seems so real. And that one has always, been like on my top, 1 or 2 of all time, even though these newer movies by Marvel, but that one, it just grabbed my attention so much. And to this day, You'll Believe a Man Can Fly. I go, heck yeah, I did.
Yeah, phenomenal movie. One of my favorites, actually, and I love Christopher Reeve as an actor. And I don't know if you've read his autobiography, Still Me, after he had his horse riding accident and things like that. It's an incredible read about the guy's kind of life after that tragic accident. So yeah, very, very cool. Very cool guy. Fuzzy's just saying The Great Escape's a long film. It is, mate. Yes, it's a long one, you're right. Yeah. We've got Pals and a Half Pint. Thank you very much for joining, Bud. Nice to see you. Okay, Efrain, show us some more good stuff. What else have you got to show with?
Okay, so this book, I picked it up. These next 2 books, I picked it up last year at San Diego Comic-Con. I brought cash again, and I brought a lot of freaking cash, and I was holding on to it for dear life because I bought it on a Sunday, the last day of Comic-Con. I was like, oh my God, am I going to spend this type of money to get this book? And I did. And after I bought the books, I was holding on to them for dear life again, because I was still there at Comic-Con for Sunday, and I was just holding on to them. Just like, we didn't want to put the bag, far away from myself in case I kept on thinking I was going to lose it. I didn't want to leave it in my car. So I was just holding on to them for dear life. These are the next 2. And this one is X-Men #1.
Efrain, man. What's that, a 4.0?
4.0, yeah.
Yeah, stunning. Mine's at CGC at the moment, but it's not going to be anywhere near a 4.0, I think. Yeah. Very jealous of that. That's, again, a big key book. That's a stunner. Yeah, so you're walking around the convention just holding on to this, yeah?
It was in a bag, but I was holding on. I bought 3 of them that day, and I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous. First of all, I was nervous because I had so much money with me, and I did the same negotiation. I said, you're not paying any taxes on this. how low can you go? I said that because when you go to conventions, cash rules, because they don't basically they don't have to put it into the system. They don't want to. I'm not sure what they do, but we negotiated, and I told them I'm interested in these books. Even up to the last minute, I'm like, damn it, I'm using a lot of my money up, my daughter's inheritance, so to speak, So, but yeah, I just love this cover. I go, dang it, I've always wanted this one. So I said, when am I ever going to get this book? Instead of just looking at it. And that's one of the main reasons I started selling off some of my books so I can buy these books.
The bigger key books.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to preempt what you're going to show as we go on, Efrain, but you've already showed an AF-15. You've showed a DD #1, an X-Men 1 there.
Yeah.
There can't be, because I think you're like me. My aim, I'm never going to achieve it, but my aim is to have all of those key first issues from Marvel Comics of the heroes that I love most.
Yes.
So you can't be that far off now, I wouldn't have thought.
I'm left with 3 that I want. And plus, I want the very first Spider-Man, not AF-15, but his very first issue.
Oh, Spider-Man issue 1.
Yeah, I'm left. I want Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man, and hopefully the very first Spider-Man, and that's it.
Cool stuff. Sean is saying here he's not sure what he's more jealous of. Efrain's comics have had glorious hair. Yeah, that's what good living in San Diego does for you, isn't it? That kind of stunning.
Thank you.
Okie dokie, Efrain. Another question for you, and this one is kind of an opportunity to just to give a bit of a plug for another channel. So, not including ourselves, what's your favorite YouTube channel? Who's your favorite?
Oh my gosh. I had one and I forgot who I was going to talk about. Dang it, I'm drawing a blank on this person's name. I may have to get back to you and put it in the comments.
No problem.
I forgot.
Hi, Gigi.
He's a very down-to-earth person, and if I remember his channel, I'll say it. But
if it comes back to you, Efrain, let me know. All
sorry.
Right? Let me know. Okay, we'll jump back to you then, Efrain. Show what are you going to show where that's going to top the books you've just shown me?
Okay, this is the one that started it all to me for Marvel in the Silver Age. I got this the same day I got the X-Men #1, and this is why I was so nervous just walking around with it. I showed it to a couple of my friends at the convention, and they couldn't believe that I had it either. But this is another one, like I said.
Friend.
Fantastic Four #1. Okay. If I had to get, as much as I love AF-15 and all the rest of my books, to me, this is the one that started it all.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've always had the Fantastic Four. I've always enjoyed them. I'm glad I have them both, but it'd be tough for me to choose between between AF-15 and Fantastic Four #1, just because it was the first one.
Yeah. Again, another stunning book. Well, I had 20 people watching just a second ago, so thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Please do hit that like and subscribe, and please do make sure you go and follow Efrain on YouTube on Passpoint Comics. You've seen already some of the stunning books he's got. We've seen a Daredevil 1, AF-15. We've got a Fantastic Four 1, an X-Men 1 there. You're guaranteed superb content over on Efrain's channel, so please do go and check that out. Stunning book, Efrain. Stunning book. Very jealous, mate. Very jealous. Okay, Efrain. So, if we were to say to you, you could do anything you wanted, you could chill, and you could have a perfect day. What would your perfect day be? What would you do to just enjoy yourself and relax?
Well, I'll choose 2. One of them, a perfect day with me to be in Hawaii, just chilling in the beach, which I've gone a lot of times with my family. I've always enjoyed going to Hawaii, but a perfect day for me at my house, and I've shown pictures on Instagram when I'm in my backyard in my hammock, just chilling out, listening to the radio or, going on YouTube and just having a drink in my hammock and just chilling out in my backyard.
Yeah. And you've got fruit trees and things as well.
I have fruit trees. Yeah. I just, as a joke, I say it's Passpoint Gardens or something like that. I like fruit trees. My dad used to plant a lot of fruit trees as a kid when I was growing up. So I got that from him.
Well, there's 2 things, Efrain. So first of all, I've never done Hawaii. I'd love to do Hawaii. That's on my bucket list. And second, as we may have talked about before, even if I had a hammock in the back garden in Newcastle, not much chance of us getting a bit of sunshine on this pasty body. So you're very lucky in the part of the world you live in. And I know you love you're
Yeah.
sitting and chilling, and you do a lot of exercise as well, but don't you? You go out for
Yeah, I
runs
go
and things like that.
running, I try to stay as active as possible,
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff. Ian Carter's wondering if the next thing you're going to show is the Holy Grail. Probably. You've probably got that. Wayne, it's like a kid looking at the top shelf. Jackson, surprised you didn't hire bodyguards for the con you went to. Yeah, I remember at the time you telling me, Efrain, and the thought of you wandering around with all that, well, not just the money, but even when you handed the money over, those 2 books, I bet you were a little bit nervous wandering around there, I would imagine.
Yeah, that last, like I said, it was the last day of the ComicCon, which was a Sunday. It was like a blur. I mean, I was holding on to my backpack in front like this, I just didn't want to put it down, and I didn't want to leave it in my car. And when I would run into my friends, I go, look what I bought. And they just went, holy crap. So,
did they flank you? Did you kind of walk around with them at either side of you? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Very
It was a very surreal day, like I said, that day just flashed really quick. I don't even remember. I was like, oh my God, I just got home, and I tried to I'm home. Okay.
Yeah. Superb. Absolutely superb. Okay, Efrain, back to you, mate. What have you got to show next?
Okay, so this next one, I got it. I don't remember when I got it. It's been over 10 years since I've gotten this book. It's signed by Stan Lee, John Romita, and who else? Signed by Jerry Conway, John Romita, and Stan Lee. This is like one of the first major book that I bought, and I bought this book over 10 years ago.
Oh wow, yeah. Very 9.2. Crikey, Efrain. So obviously that's Amazing Spider-Man. That's the first appearance of good old Frank Castle, the Punisher. Again, another stunning book. Who did you say it was signed by? I can see Stan's signature there.
Stan Lee, John Romita, and Jerry Conway.
Superb.
Yeah.
Did you say that's the one that you bought, Efrain, or is that one from your own collection?
Oh, I bought this book, and I got it for a decent price. Like I said, it's been over 10 years, and I almost didn't buy it because it was expensive, and that's when this is like one of the first books that I bought that cost me, more money than I usually spend. So I was nervous about buying it, but the guy that I was buying it from, he goes, "Come on, you said you were going to buy it."
Yeah.
I went, all right, I'll buy it. And I'm glad I did now.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, when you kind of hit that ceiling of what you're used to spending, what you're comfortable spending, and then you break that ceiling, and then all of a sudden, well, certainly for me, all of a sudden it doesn't seem as much. And then the next one you're kind of aiming for, to the point where like you've just shown, you're buying things like AR-15s and stuff like that. And all of a sudden the value seems to change a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of these books that we've got now, and certainly the ones that you've shown there, are big money books. So I guess the question comes from me, Efrain, what's your game plan here? Is your game plan to keep collecting until you can hand all of this stuff over to your family? Or at some point, are you going to sell up and, I don't know, buy a small island to live on or something like that? What are you going to do?
Now, these major books, I'm never going to sell.
Yeah.
I've told my daughter, look, when these books are yours, for the love of God, talk to my cousin, which I mentioned before, Momo Comics 80. I said, for the love of God, talk to him or talk to somebody that's into comic books. And I go, do not just, sell these books. And she goes, Dad, I won't. Okay, I promise you. But at the same time, I've told my cousin that I'm leaving him the majority of my books.
Yeah.
And I go, I just want somebody to have them that collects comic books like me. Yeah. And he was kind of speechless. He goes, gosh, I don't know what to say. I go, well, don't say much now because I'm probably going to sell a bunch of them. I told him, you know. So I'm specifically going to leave him some and leave some. And the majority are going to him, but I'm going to leave some to my daughter also. And I told her, I go, look, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave you some books, but the majority are going to go to him. I go, that's just the way I feel.
And that's the, that's the nice thing, isn't it, Efrain? It's about keeping the the books in the hands of people who are actually going to enjoy them for what they
Yeah.
are. And it's interesting. I just want to go back on a point you made there before about, you know, when it's horrible to be talking about, but when someone does pass away and they've got a collection and things like that, these days, it's pretty easy to do a quick Google or jump on eBay or whatever and find out the value of stuff. But if you think 10, 15 years ago, the collections that must have just been given away or chucked out or given to charity shops because people didn't have an understanding of what perhaps the loved ones' collectibles were worth, you know. But yeah, it's big money, I think, that we're talking about at the moment. Next question for you, Efrain. Bring this up. Oh, I've lost myself. Where am I?
Real quick, I remember the guy on YouTube. I was just looking.
All right.
So, his name is Alex the Comic Hoarder.
Oh yeah, I follow Alex the Comic Hoarder.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just like his down to earth style, you know.
Yeah, superb channel. Please do go and check that out. That's Alex. Yeah, no, that's Alex the Comic Hoarder, because it is a superb channel. And Alex does some great stuff where he does kind of community challenges and things like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure he did a community challenge that I was involved with a while back. Yeah. Ian Carter's just asking if you fancy adopting a son. You're not the first person to ask him that, Ian. I think there's a list of it. So, Efrain, I've known you for a while now.
Yeah.
And you are one of the most pleasant, mild people I know. And what I mean by mild is I never really see you getting involved in the YouTube negative side, the argy-bargy and stuff. I don't see you getting riled about stuff much. So I'm interested to know what tips you over the edge. What's your tipping point? What grinds your gears or irritates you?
I briefly talked to somebody about this on Instagram. Is when it comes to comic books, people who are influencers and why you would follow an influencer, I just don't get. These people have their own agenda, and it just bothers me that some people, you know, follow whatever they say. And I can see sometimes why, but some of the books that they do talk about, they do look nice. But it's just people who influence other people, regardless if it's in comic books or anything else in life. You know, my motto is, if I want a book, I do my own, and, you know, I look into it. And if I want to buy it, I'll buy it. Nobody influences me when it comes to buying my comic books. I know which books are nice and which are not. Like when Something is Killing the Children first came out, I knew it was going to be a hit when I first read the synopsis about it, the advanced orders. Dumb me, I only bought like about 2 or 3 of them. You know, I just didn't think about buying a bunch of them. I do my due diligence even when we do our monthly show, which I like, you know, we do our top picks. I read I don't read each book, but I look what each book it's about. And if it's a book that grabs my interest, you know, I go for it. I just don't influencers. I just wish they would just go away.
Absolutely. I think, you know, there's a lot of that going on at the moment. And I think over the last year in particular, it's really turned a little bit. And I think people are starting to see it for what it is. So, you know, I'm not going to get into it, but there was that whole Ultimate Fallout issue a while ago where prices were being artificially raised by influencers, basically saying it's the biggest book you're ever going to get and stuff. And they had money in the game, shall we say, and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's very strange. I myself, I have to hold my hands up. When I first got into YouTube, I got a little bit into the spec market kind of thing, buying books that I thought would go up in value. And to an extent, I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you're going to sell them to get books that you want later on down the line. But I certainly don't think we should be telling people what books are going to be worth more in the future, because we don't know. You know, we've seen that with the Marvel movies. Some books that you think should go up in value absolutely crash or don't. So I think you're right. I think it's a dangerous game to play. Pounds and a Half Pints just saying that, does the spec community in general annoy Efrain? What do you think about spec community?
No, I mean, I like people who talk about comic books. Like I bought that Spider-Man #7 because somebody showed it on Instagram. But I made my own decision after that, you know, and they were at cover price when I got them. You know, they weren't jacked up prices, so I went for that one. No, the spec community is fine. I mean, I asked you when we talk, you know, I like your opinions on comic books. You know, you don't have an agenda when we talk. We're just saying we just like this book.
Yeah, you know? I think there's two different lanes to it for me, Efrain. There's our personal thoughts on that book. So I bought that Spider-Man book as well. That might be a key in the future. So I've picked up a copy of that because I might sell it in the future for more money, thus funding the hobby.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. What I have a problem with is me sitting on a screen like this and saying to everybody, right, you now need to go out and buy this book because it's going to be worth lots of money in the future. Because I don't know that. Do you know what I mean? I'm giving dodgy financial advice, really, there, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think influencers in general are an interesting bunch. So
I've
yeah,
met some of them at conventions, and they're nice people. You know, we talk. They don't have no agenda when we talk. You know, and I say,
yeah,
hey, you know, I've seen you on YouTube, and blah 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 blah. And we just talk, and there just comes a
yeah,
point where, but you know, when they do stuff like on YouTube or anywhere else, when they influence stuff, I just don't
yeah,
listen to them. You know.
yeah. Good stuff. Okay, Efrain, back to you to show us some more books.
Okay. This next one, I had it at the end, but I'm gonna put it up first. I'm gonna put up next. I met this gentleman, and I know he's one of your favorite artists too. You know, he passed away recently. This was signed by him, and I got this done over 5-6 years ago at this small little convention up near San Diego. And I didn't get it graded by CGC at the time because I just thought I was going to take it to CBCS, and I thought they were going to give it the same yellow label. I didn't know much about CBCS back then.
Yeah.
But I kept it, and about a year ago, it's a sketch cover. I cleaned and pressed it myself. I said, no way this is going to come back a 9.8, but it did. You know, I was so surprised. And I think I've showed you this one before. This is by George Perez.
Yeah. George Perez.
Yeah.
George Perez is my favorite DC character. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Stunning.
one of the most nicest people you could ever meet. You know, we just chatted, and he said, you know, what do you want? I go, we want the Flash. He says, you want Barry Allen or Wally West? I had no idea what to say. I even forgot which character I told him that I wanted. He did a quick sketch, and he did the back of it too, like his, you know.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Speed.
Yeah.
So I cleaned and pressed this myself. And you know, they had to authenticate it because, you know, they weren't there to, you know, witness the signature, and they authenticated by him. And yeah, I came back at 9.8, you know.
That's stunning, Efrain.
Yeah.
George Perez is one of my favorite artists, and I've heard lots of people, including yourself and including our good friend Ben, the Attention Seeking Geek, saying that they've met George, and he was just a stunning, gentle, kind man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a stun. And I mean, we've done some shows before, so a bit of a plug. Go and check out our back catalogue about some of the sketch covers we've got in our collections.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And you've shown off some absolute stunners.
Yeah.
We need to do another one of them. I reckon I could rattle up another 5.
Yeah, I got a few left.
Yeah, so we'll have to show them.
Yeah.
So yeah, stunning cover, absolutely stunning cover. Okay, next one for you, Efrain, and it's perfect timing because Emmons World of Geek has just joined, saying, what to do, fam, villains unite. And the next question I've got for you, Efrain, is who is your favorite villain?
Gosh, my favorite villain. Gosh, that's you know what? I think my favorite villain is because he's just so evil and doesn't have any superpowers. But I always have to say the Kingpin.
Kingpin.
You know, yeah. You know, I know all these super powered villains, you know, but he's just a gangster, you know, and he's always been a thorn in the side to Daredevil and Spider-Man and all the street level heroes, and just, yeah, you know, I think that's one of my most favorite villains, you know.
Superb. And how do you think about his portrayal on the recent Hawkeye show?
I liked it. I liked him more when he was in the Daredevil by Netflix. But yeah, Hawkeye, hopefully they'll do him right. I think he's probably going to come back in the Daredevil series too. Yeah, he is. I remember.
Yeah, he is. But I'm wondering if they're going to kind of soup up his powers, like, because he was very street level in Daredevil, wasn't he? And then when we hit Hawkeye, he was kind of almost superhuman strength. And stuff.
I didn't like that too much, you know.
Yeah. I think the actor is absolutely amazing. So really looking forward to seeing him come back. Because he didn't die. Let's be honest, he didn't die at the end of Hawkeye, did he?
Yeah.
They would have showed it. Okay, Efrain, back to you, mate. What else you got for me?
This next one is one of the very first comic books that I ever had, like a not a sketch, but a remark done on it. They asked me if the guy goes, "Do you mind if he puts a remark on it?" I sent it in to somebody. I said, "What's a remark?" When he draws on it, I had no idea. And this one is signed by Stan Lee and signed and sketched by Herb Trimpe. It's an Incredible Hulk number 181. 1.5. You see it right there. He did it.
Oh yeah,
right there. And there's Stanley's signature right there. You can't see it that well.
In gold. Is that in gold?
In gold, yeah.
That's irritated as Efrain. Yeah. I like that one. That's a stunning book, mate. And that's probably one of the that's a book that's a modern classic, isn't it? That one's never gonna, if you're looking at your top tier books in terms of first appearances, you know, you've got your X-Men and all the rest of that you just showed, but the modern tier is obviously Wolverine. And I have it at such a high grade, 7.5, and signed by Stan the Man and a remark.
Yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal.
I remember when I bought this book, I bought it on eBay. Even back then when I bought it for $500. And I debated whether or not to spend $500 on a comic book. I almost didn't. I go, that's a lot of money. I was like, $500 for this damn book. But I got it cleaned and pressed, and they came back at 7.5.
$500 is nothing.
I know.
Nowadays,
but back then, I was like, oh my God. And that was the high bid.
Yeah. Wow. That's a stunner, Efrain. An absolute stunner. I love that one. Love it. Okay, Efrain, how many books have we got left?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, show another one before we move on to a next.
Okay, this is funny. I'm showing you a book. This one, I bought it from the same person that I bought the Amazing Fantasy 15 from. And I've always wanted this book. Not always, but when it came out, I went, gosh, I want this book. It's Edge of Spider-Verse.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Signed by Stanley.
Of course it is. I've not seen that cover before, Efrain. Who?
Really?
I don't think so.
Well, this book is by Greg Land. Greg Land cover. Everybody was always, hammering for this book,
And that's not the first appearance of Spider-Gwen, is it?
Yes, it is. Yep.
All right. So is that a variant cover of the first appearance?
Yeah, first appearance of the new Spider-Woman, Gwen Stacy. Yeah.
And does it say it's a variant cover or something on it?
Let me see here. Edge of Spider-Verse. Yeah, variant edition. Yep.
Yeah.
So when I seen this one, he had it, so I bought it from him too.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
And I like that character. She's again another modern character, a bit like Miles, who I don't think they're not going to go away, or they're going to continue in the popularity, I think. So nice cover, Efrain, with an attractive young lady on the front there. Speaking of that, who is your celebrity crush?
Back in the day, it was Raquel Welch.
Raquel Welch. Wow.
Back in the day when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now I would probably say Scarlett Johansson or Elizabeth Olsen. I like them.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Just quickly jumping into the chat here. Such a weak collector. I'd be happy to have Edge of Spider-Verse 2 cover A, yet you have the cover everyone's signed by Stan Lee. Yeah. I have to say, there's no such thing as a weak collector, mate. You collect what you can afford to collect and what you've got in your collection. And we all kind of start, I think, and kind of keep leveling up. I certainly have, over the years, like we've just been talking about, Efrain, back in the day, I wouldn't have dreamed of paying more than 50 quid for a comic. And then it just kind of keeps going up in levels and levels. Scarily so. So everybody's collections are unique and perfect for them, I'm sure. Okay, Efrain, what else have you got to show with?
This one I also bought off a collector, and I think I paid about between $500 and $1,000 for this book. And even at that same time when I got it, which was like over 10 years ago now, I was like, dang it, do I really want to spend this much money on this book? But I did, and I got it signed by Stan Lee. And it's Captain America's Return to a Silver Age.
Yeah, very cool. I love that book. Book. 6.0.
Yeah. Sandy's signature. Again, he signed it in gold, so you can't really see it, but it's right there. So
yeah. And that's it. That's quite a hard book to get a hold of, isn't it? I know. So I've got a Pence copy. I think it's a 4.0 that I struggled to get for a long, long time because it's quite a pricey book. That one still. But yeah, another absolutely phenomenal book there, Efrain. I like that one a lot. Show another one, then, F.
Okay, this one is a more, I think it's the Bronze Age. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 300. Again, I bought it from the collector that I bought the A of 15. I bought like about 3 or 4 comic books from him. And this one is signed by Todd McFarlane.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, 9.8.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's a real hard book to get in a 9.8, isn't it? Because of the black and the red and all the rest of it. And Todd signed.
He signed it right there.
Yeah. It's the full signature, but isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's changed his signature more recently, I think.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of Venom?
I mean, I like the character, but I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of him, but this one is a classic book. And again, when this book first came out, I bought it and I just grabbed one, like I said, I read it because I'm a reader first,
Absolutely.
that's been my thing, and I just have 2 left. So
what did you think of the Venom movies?
They were all just okay. Nothing, it is what
I
it
wasn't
is.
a fan.
Yeah.
Just quickly jumping into the chat, I'm in there saying Raquel Welch is a classic choice. Yeah. GP, damn. Jack, I'm saving it right now for a JSX1, my dream book. My favorite character is Nightcrawler. Yeah, mate, it's a fantastic book to have. And like I say, I think that's it, in terms of the sheer volume of first appearances and the power of those first appearances, because you got Colossus and you got Nightcrawler, Storm, all those guys, Thunderbird. It's a big book to get a hold of. So best of luck with that, Jack. It's a stunning book to get, mate. Excuse me, I come up to clear the drool away. Absolutely. Okay, Efrain. So you are a wise man. I know this from having spent much time with you. So in terms of advice, what advice would you give people? It can be about collecting, it can be just life advice, it can be whatever you want. What advice would you give to those watching?
As far as life is concerned, I try not to get too agitated by what's happening in the world. Some things are out of our control, and I just try to lead as peaceful as life as possible. Do what you love to do. One of the things I really enjoyed in these last few years is being on YouTube, making friends like you guys, and you introduced me to all your friends. And I mean, I look so forward to talking to you. And I hope, I'm not that religious, but I hope to God one of the days we can meet. I met Simon in San Diego, so that's one down.
Out of all of us, you've met Simon.
Yeah, all of them, yeah. The one I like the last. No, just kidding. Just kidding, Simon, if you're here. I met Simon, which was cool. And if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have met him. And, hopefully we'll meet one of these days. But now I consider you a good friend now. I mean, besides comic books, I just like seeing you and just talking to you off camera. When we're not filming, we just start talking, and I look forward to that even more than being on the actual, live or on YouTube,
Absolutely.
Chatting,
And that's that's the interesting thing with this whole YouTube thing, because I started it much like yourself around the same time and whatnot. And I started, I don't know why, just to show people my comics and stuff like that. But I really have made some proper friends, what I would class as proper friends through YouTube. And it is that social element. People think that you join YouTube because you want the likes or the subscriptions and all that kind of, or money. You don't make money from YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But actually, it's not. It's for that interaction and it's that camaraderie and stuff. And like you, Efrain, I'm desperate to meet up with you. I'd love to come and meet up with you at some point. I met up with a lot of the YouTube UK community at a convention called Thought Bubble, and it really was a game changer in terms of enjoyment factor from YouTube. So, great advice, Efrain. Great advice.
Yeah.
Okay, bud. Let's see your last few books.
Okay, these last 2. This is one of my favorite artists. I keep on always saying that, but unfortunately, he also passed away. But whenever I see his artwork, I'm just taken back. I went, man, if he was still alive, what kind of artwork he would have done. This first one, it's not the original one that came out from Germany, but they had it at San Diego ComicCon back in 2017, and I just had to have it. And I wish, again, I just grabbed one. I said, damn it, should have grabbed more than one of these. But this is by Michael Turner.
Oh, Michael Turner, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a stunner. I love that cover.
Yep.
Now, we just mentioned him before, Simon, Comic Lad Simon. He's a massive Michael Turner fan.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not sure if he's got that one or not. Can't remember if he showed us that one before. But that's a stunning cover. And that's actually a great run of Superman, Batman as well,
Yeah.
where Supergirl takes on Darkseid and things like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
And my last one is also by Michael Turner. This is like one of my favorite covers I have. This is like a black and white version, but there's also one that has, you know, coloring on it. Every time I see this book, if it's at a good price, you know, I try to buy it. I think I have about 4 or 5 copies of this. This is Miss Marvel #1 that came out in 2006.
Hold that one up a little bit closer, Efrain, mate. I don't think I've seen that one before either. Who's that one signed by, sorry?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's stunning. Absolutely stunning. Very nice, bud. Very nice. Well, Efrain, thank you very much for showing us some of the books in your collection. It's been absolutely superb. You've got some stunning pieces there. I'm sure you'll be the envy of many a collector. But I love the fact that you're just so grounded and down to earth with them all as well. So, and it's a collection that's been made through a lifetime of collecting, isn't it? Yeah. It's not like you've you know, started collecting over the last few years. I know you like to say, and I completely see that comic books are in your DNA. So much like myself, we've both been collecting since we were young men many moons ago. So thank you for that, and thank you very much to everybody that's been in the chat. We had 22 people commenting and watching at one point, so that's fantastic. So Efrain, last thing I want you to tell a little bit about is your channel. Direct people to where they can see you, and also tell them a little bit about what you've got coming up.
My channel is called Passpoint Comics, and also that's on my Instagram too. I have a link from Instagram to my YouTube channel, and I hit 1,000 subscribers, and I am going to be doing a giveaway. I keep on saying I'm going to be doing a giveaway. Anybody can enter.
The AF-15 you're going to give away.
I'll give away AF-15, sure. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. Hopefully my next video, I'm going to record it, and just usually my giveaways, they last about 2 or 3 weeks. All you have to do is leave a comment. You can just say hi and you're in the running. Only 1 comment per person, and then I just pick a winner. And besides that, I'm starting to do this monthly video called Comic Culture with Dan De La Torre. We're going to go live. We've done 2 tapings so far. We decided we're going to go live next time. And it's just, we just talk about comic book news, comic books, TV shows, movies. We talk a little bit about sports. And we're going to go live probably in about 2 weeks and see how that goes. And
now, Efrain, I've watched your recording of that show, and I think was the last one 2.5, 3 hours?
Yeah. I think no, they only went about 1.5 hours or 2 hours.
Was it? Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah,
I thought it was a couple of hours. I was thinking when you said you're going to go live. Wow. I wonder if you'll manage to maintain for 3 hours.
No, we just started. We haven't. I try to do it between 1 hour and 1.5 hours, but it's just the 2 of us, so you know it shouldn't go that long. But it's going to be at night, and you guys will be asleep, so but that's okay. You know. And I'm always on Instagram posting stuff. I was at Star Wars night last week, you know, and Dr. Von Hoot was there, and I told him to wake you guys up.
Yeah, tremendous. And you know, you do some great content, Efrain, so I would really recommend everybody pops over to Passpoint Comics and subs you up and has a look at the stuff you do. Okay, so that's the end of the show. We're just going to move on now and talk a little bit what's coming up on the channels. Efrain, massive thank you. Really have appreciated it. And thank you for being my first guest on the show. I was a little bit nervous about doing this. It's the first time I've really done a one-on-one format, and you've made it really smooth and easy for us. So thank you very much.
I wasn't going to say no to you. So.
So guys, with that said, I've had lots of interest in this show, but if anybody would like to take part, you've seen the kind of stuff we do now. You can show anything you want, any kind of collectible you want. It hasn't got to be all comics, hasn't got to be all toys. It can be whatever you want. So if anybody would like to come on the show, please do drop us a DM. Next week on my channel, next Monday, we've got Geeky Art Attack back, and this time it's going to be related to computer games. So myself and the panel will be being challenged by James and Efrain to draw all kinds of computer game subjects. So looking forward to that one. If I can just encourage you all, please, to go and check out Mortal Kombat on Ben, the Attention Seeking Geeks channel tomorrow at 8 o'clock, where he's going to be talking about Mortal Kombat, like I say. Now, I think that's a great film, so I think it's going to be interesting to see what's going on in the chat. Ben's going to be manning it himself, so he really does need as many people in the chat as possible, so please do go and check that out. JP Venom has started doing a show called That Comic Book Review Show. Myself and Efrain were on there last week where we did Punisher, which was a superb rundown. And I'm over the moon to say I finally get to talk about Thanos Wins on his next show, which is a book that I love and I've tried to talk about for a long time. So really looking forward to that. JP's not sure if that's going to be this Wednesday or next Tuesday yet. So JP, if you're still in the chat, let us know if you made a decision, or we'll let you know as soon as we can. But Thanos Wins, try and read it before the show because it's a stunning book. And if I can just finally point your attention to some of the UK live community, we've got This Week in Metropolis, 9 o'clock after Ben's show on a Tuesday. So please do go check that out. We've got the Nerd Herd on Wednesday, and they're talking the Nerd Herd Choice this Wednesday, but I can't remember what the book is. So please do check that out. They do a good review. We've got a Killer Comic Show on Thursday, where they do all of their usual comic book reviews, toy reviews, and geeky chat. And on Saturdays, we've got the Grey Man doing his Cover Slingers show, which is always a good laugh. So please do check that out. That starts at 7 o'clock. Okay, that's your whack. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. It's been really buzzing tonight. We had 22 people in the chat at one point, so I'm over the moon with that. Thank you very much. It's really, really appreciated. I love everybody's support, so thank you for that. And Efrain, finally, again, just once again to say a huge thank you to you, mate. Always love spending time with you, and thank you for being my first guest.
Yep, I love talking to you all the time. So
good stuff. Okay, with that, we'll say good night. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye.